Truth is out there. Knowledge is power. This is the Prepper Podcast Radio Network.
Hey Preppers, James Smith here. I've got a new advertiser to tell you about. It is ultimatepreppers.net. There's a couple brothers out of the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area that have this website. It's chock full of everything you need and at a decent price. Let me tell you, they've got a Mayday fanny pack kit for less than $30, a Guide 10 Plus Adventure Kit for solar power, a 5-man tent for $89, tomahawks, GPS, go bags, so much more. Take a look at it. Freeze-dried food, supplies, you wouldn't believe it. Now, they also sell guns online, and they also have military surplus items. Now, new items are being added daily. If you order more than $100, items are shipped free. Now, they also do take PayPal, so take a look at it. It's ultimatepreppers.net. That's ultimatepreppers, that's plural, .net.
Feeling like there are too many pressures and demands on you? Losing sleep worrying about tests and schoolwork? Eating on the run because your schedule is just too busy? You may be under too much stress, and it may be affecting your mind. Get your mental edge back with Nootropic Mind Power from mindregard.com. Nootropic Mind Power is not a drug, but a natural supplement. Its 12 powerful ingredients are natural and non-GMO, plus it's gluten-free, wheat-free, and formulated by Americans for Americans by an NSF-certified laboratory. Nootropic Mind Power is available at mindregard.com, spelled mindregard.com, and comes with a 100% money-back guarantee. Free your mind with Nootropic Mind Power Cognitive Supplement from mindregard.com. MindRegard. Clearly see tomorrow and yesterday. Today.
Are you storing food? Many preppers are storing food for months and years, but only have enough fuel stored for days or weeks. Stretch your fuel storage by harnessing the power of the sun with a sun oven. Food can be baked, boiled, or steamed at temperatures of 360 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit with the power of the sun. Depending on where you are located, you can use the sun for 50 to 80% of your cooking, allowing you to preserve your fuel storage for rainy days. Sun-baked foods stay moister and have less shrinkage and don't burn. Sun-baked roasts are tastier and more succulent, and sun-baked bread has unparalleled taste and texture. Water can be heated in a sun oven for purification or personal hygiene. For the past 25 years, sun ovens have been proudly made in the U.S. They are durable, have a long life, and come with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. For a discount coupon, email podcast@sunoven.com. That's podcast@sunoven.com. This is KPRN-DB, broadcasting worldwide from Southeast Oklahoma, USA, to parts unknown.
This is where Sun Tzu and MacGyver meet the Waltons. I know you can do it. I know you can prep for yourself and for your family. I believe in you. Crisis strikes, you need to reach down and check to see if you got the big boy or big girl underwear on, because you know what, you're going to have to be an adult and you're going to have to step up to the plate because you've got people depending on you.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. James Smith, the Covert Prepper with the Covert Prepper Show. How's everybody doing today? Well, tonight we've got a little special show. It's going to be about nuclear war. So let's start with the beginning, though. All information provided is for entertainment purposes or for post-apocalyptic uses. I would suggest that you do this before the apocalypse occurs. I'm a former U.S. Navy enlisted sailor and prison corrections officer for medium and minimum security inmates. I was a covert disability insurance fraud investigator for several years, and I currently work for a company that provides support to the disabled. This is where Sun Tzu and MacGyver meets the Waltons. If you want to know how to keep your stuff safe, if you want to learn how to survive, you may want to put me on your iTunes. More about that later. You can Twitter me or tweet me at @CovertPrepper. The blog is thecovertprepper.com, and you can reach me, James, at The Covert Prepper if you have any questions, and the YouTube channel is The Covert Prepper. You can also listen to our live feed by going to prepperpodcast.com, pprnnews.com, or by calling 786-837-2278. Now, we finally got the website to be working, and that being prepperpodcast.com, and we've added the podcast to the webpage. So if you have a favorite host, I know you might listen to other hosts besides me, and I'm totally okay with that. So let's say you want to listen to Common Sense Preparedness. So you click on the podcast link on the top part of the page there, and then you'll be given all of the current podcasts. If you hover on the podcast, you'll see the list of shows. Click on Common Sense Preparedness, and just Common Sense Preparedness shows come up. But wait, there's more. If you go to iTunes and search for prepperpodcast.com or Prepper Podcast, you'll see that we have iTunes shows. Now, you'll see there's only just a few there, but don't worry, I'm slowly adding more as time goes along. I didn't do any today because I'm trying to make the website move faster and improve it. I have 2 blog posts to do for the Covert Prepper, but, this is the way things are. So let's talk about recent events. We have 3 recent events that we have to worry about. One is the whole Iran put a monkey in space. So what? They put a monkey in space. Well, put a monkey in space means that you can put a nuclear weapon in space. What happens when you put a nuclear weapon in space? You now have an electromagnetic pulse generator. Possibility here, don't you? Think about it. So at any point in time, they can say, well, we're sick of this. We're going to take our nuke. We're going to put it in outer space, and we're going to detonate it above wherever, CENTCOM, Pacific, AFRICOM, wherever, and U.S. forces will be disadvantaged. Well, most of the people that live in these very rural areas have no power, and they have no idea how it is to live with power. They're lucky to have a pizza parlor, I think. But anyways, that's one thing. The second thing is North Korea. North Korea wants to have nuclear weapons. They recently detonated a very small nuclear device in the mountains. It was detected by earthquake detectors. Now, the thing is that Korea does ship things. They can put this nuke into a small missile and launch it over Sacramento, California, which would definitely affect all of California. California would become a third world country more so than it already is. I speak from experience. And the third thing we need to talk about is what happened most recently, and that would be the meteor, the part of the asteroid that broke off and slammed into Russia. Believe me, if that happened anywhere in a really heavily populated area, if it was Moscow, Paris, London, New York, LA, Chicago. Well, if it's Chicago, I wouldn't care, except Chris Rather lives there, so we want to keep him safe. But anyways, the whole idea is if it happened in a more populated area, it would not have just been 1,000 people that have been injured. It would have been in the millions. And so what I'm going to tell you basically is the same thing, that they all kind of intermix. And this is going to be about nuclear war. Nuclear war sucks. It is not one of those things that we want to get into. Now, believe it or not, back in the 80s, one man could have started nuclear war, and it was not President Reagan. What had happened was there was a watch commander in Russia. There was a storm over the North Pole, and their detectors detected launch because of the lightning strikes. And the watch commander, he was the one who could have started World War III. But he didn't, because he realized that Americans have no intention of starting World War III, and that there might have been some other reason for these flashes. And it was proven right. It was just the storm. So President Reagan gave the Soviet Union some top secret radar, high quality radar. to prevent this from happening in the future. Now, he's not the only president to give the commies hardware and software, knowledge, and that was Roosevelt, FDR. FDR basically made it so that Russia could become a superpower back in the 30s. He gave them hundreds of tons of foodstuffs, and he gave them equipment to modernize their military. So you can say all the bad things you want to say about Reagan, but I'm going to put down FDR as the third worst president we've gotten. Anybody care to guess the first two? 20th century? Late 20th century? Oh, wait. One was late 20th century. One's this new one. So, yes, I go Obama, Carter, and then Roosevelt. Okay, so let's talk about the possibility of a nuclear war. It's just as great as it was 30 years ago. Seriously. The only thing different is that we have less of a responsibility. We have no anti-ballistic weapons hardware. We have diminished military, and pretty much it's going to suck for us. I keep having this dream that during a speech, the Russians decide they're going to launch nuclear war on us. But you see, the whole idea behind it was that Skippy was going to do the speech. He was going to get onto Air Force One with a few of his select friends, go to safety, and then they were going to nuke. But the Russians, not liking him any more than we do, was just going to basically double-cross him and just launch things prematurely. How's that for a nightmare? Welcome to my life. All right, so I'm going to be using two textbooks today, and the first one is It's a Disaster, What You Gonna Do About It? Excellent book. If you don't have it, go to itsadisaster.net or call 1-888-999-4325. That's 1-888-999-4325. You need this book. Seriously. What are you going to do if you have a stroke? Drowning. Well, if you're drowning, you're kind of tough out of luck. Germs after disaster, and we're going to talk about what you're going to do before, during, and after. So this podcast will include, the blog post will include some hardware that you can get. I'm just using the Amazon just as an example. You don't have to click on the Amazon. If you see like the Nuke Alert, okay, if you can find it cheaper somewhere else, by all means, find it cheaper and pay cheaper price. I'm great with that. I am so cheap. Anyways, so you'll see some suggestions. All right. The second one is going to be the effects of nuclear weapons put out by FEMA back in 1977. This is prepared and published by the U.S. Department of Defense and the U.S. Department of Energy. It was compiled and edited by Samuel Gladstone and Philip Dolan. This is a must-have, and it's free. You've got to have it. This is an excellent book on what happens. There's the Nuclear War Survival Guide by Crescent Carney, and there's this one. They're in my library, because I'm in my library now. I've moved studios, if you will. Anyways, let's talk about the number one thing that you absolutely positively have to use, or to have in order to survive a nuclear war. The absolute number one tool that you have got to have in your preps. It's a shovel. Absolutely. You think I'm smoking crack? Feel free. Let me tell you about dirt. You pile a couple feet of dirt on in wherever. Okay, we're going to get into that in just a minute. You are going to survive way more than anybody else. The shovel is the most important tool, I swear, that you could ever have. With it, sadly, you can dig graves, but you can also dig reservoirs for your water, like I've often told you. Shovels allow you to scoop dirt into a container, and then you can make these into a shelter. More about that later. But anyways, I'm going to go through the It's a Disaster Guide. You can survive a nuke attack, but you must make an effort to learn what to do. Now, I'm going to skip over the differences between, the fireball, the radiation, things like this. We're going to talk about what's the most dangerous part of a nuclear attack. All right. The first is going to be radiation, because radiation will kill you. A lot of things will kill you, by the way. The second thing is going to be the blast, the overpressure. It's a gentle wind, really concentrated. And the third thing is going to be heat. Now we're going to pick a spot. one little spot in the world that I think would be the suckiest